Thanks again for joining us in our series Old Things New as we demolish our old garage and build a new home studio in its place. As a homeschool family, we are working together with the help of a few friends to self-build a home studio. I'm not only building a film production business, in many respects I'm rebuilding myself as I navigate depression and trauma from recent years. To keep track of future episodes, please subscribe to my channel as we complete each step and achieve our dream. In today's episode, we go back in time as we work on the internal walls, getting ready to line. As I fitted the wall brackets where all the power points and light switches would be fixed, I reminded myself of how important the order of construction is. Although I had every intention to show our progress in chronological order, there has been a lot of work going on inside at the same time. So in this episode we step back in time as we run all the wiring and plumbing and fit the installation snugly between all the framing. I was keen to get the insulation installed quickly because of the amount of space the bales took up inside the studio. Even in their compressed state, they were stacked 2 meters high and filled the middle section, which would eventually become my editing suite. With the upper ceiling blanket installed and strapped in place, I started to fill the firewall. This time it was the 4.8 meter sheets of jib that were in the way, but there was nowhere else to put them and I couldn't move them by myself. The 2 large boxes taking up precious space inside the house contained our ventilation system. When making a space soundproof, making it airtight is very important. But to comply with the building code, we required 2 150mm holes to allow airflow. Another challenge for acoustic treatment, but it works and it's online. During the day, hammers were swinging and cladding was going up. During the evenings, on wet days and between coats of paint drying, the inside was changing too. We couldn't replace our sheet of polythene with our new roller door until the internal workshop walls were lined. But to get to that stage, we needed to pull 365 meters of electrical cable and 210 meters of network cable, to say nothing about the insulation. When running cables in the studio, it can be a real challenge to make sure you keep electrical cables separate from the network cables and all the video and audio lines. Getting too close or crossing over can create interference that may render some lines unusable. For us, that meant drilling many holes, even through 6 layers of 4x2 to ensure our power was routed 400mm from any other cable. With all the holes drilled and the wood chips swept up, it was time to thread all the electrical cables through their maze of holes, all the way back to the new circuit board. In the studio, there will be power outlets in the ceiling as well as in the walls, so to maintain the right position and keep cables tangle free in the wall cavity, audio and video lines were routed through fixed conduit. Once all the cabling was installed, it was time to install the insulation in the long side wall. With no windows or doors to work around, it was a quick job. The one clear rule when installing insulation is to make it snug, and that meant notching out little steps to fit between the nogs. With an impressive density at 140mm thick and an R value of 4.3, the PinkBat's Ultra Wool will provide insulation from both outside temperature and noise. Fitting insulation around large bundles of cables, especially where the server and switchboard will be installed, required many carefully measured cutouts and channels to allow the cables to sit without any strain while keeping the bats flush with the framing. By this time, most of the cladding was up, but due to the colder and wetter weather, we were not keen to start painting. We had 90 days to get that done, so we started spending more time during the day installing the rest of the bats. It was crazy how suddenly the ambient noise of our neighbourhood became gradually quieter as we treated each room. Even the sound of rain on the roof was almost completely gone. Other than seeing the visible drops on the skylight, I often wouldn't know it had been raining. An insulated overhead pipe is installed to feed the garden tap. Then it's time to put on mask and gloves and start cutting bats again. Most bales of paint bats I've used in the past have contained around 15 sheets, but our bales only contain 5, and they really don't compress much at all. Due to their density, most cuts were made with a once sharp fishing knife cutting along a straight edge onto an old length of 6x2. Then a dilemma. I'd run out of our bats. They were a special order and it would be 2 weeks' wait before I could get some more. But what added to the stress was the fact that I had managed to get our pre-line inspection planned for the end of the week. I really had only 2 options: either cancel the inspection and pay for another, or use the planned inspection in the hope I would pass, even with 3 missing patches. Realising I had nothing to lose, and may even pass the inspection, I decided to carry on sealing all the window joinery with expanding foam and perf rod. When it came to installing our 65mm terminal vent, I had to use my jigsaw, and if you make a hole bigger than 25mm through 4x2 framing, then you need to reinforce it. When the plumber returned, the trench for the water mains was dug and all the junction points were screwed to the framing ready for the butylene pipe. I find it fascinating observing professionals in their field. Many trades use similar tools, so seeing them used in a different context gives me a greater understanding of their work. While I added silicone to prevent the pipes rattling in the frames, the plumber fixed the vent through the roof. The inspector came, checked the water pressure, admired the tidy insulation, and gave us the pass. For a long time, the linear boards had been stacked against the back wall, waiting to be installed. The dust had spread throughout the studio, so a lot of cleaning had to take place on a daily basis. Dusting and sweeping became my regular wind-down exercise before heading to bed. The pile of bats had disappeared, forced into every gap to now be covered with the last pile of materials, jib and ply. As I cut and fixed the ply to the framing, the size of the studio seemed to shrink. What had been an open space was becoming separate spaces. A space to build, a space to create, a space to make bigger dreams come true. But this first internal wall did something else. It stopped the dust from travelling into the other spaces. As I rehung our tattered piece of polythene, I looked forward to the coming days. Very soon our roller door will be installed. Our new order of bats arrived and were installed immediately, and the final pieces of ply were nailed to the framing. What was once a massive pile of jib and ply was slowly disappearing. It was a sad thought that soon this journey would be disappearing too. There's a lot of excitement striving through a difficult challenge, and for me this project distracted me from some deeper challenges of faith and learning how to once again trust people in places of authority. With the ply stained, the workshop was finally ready for the roller door to be installed. Once again I stood back and watched the professionals do their job. There are lots of things we can do by ourselves, but some things require the help of others. For me, the step of trusting others was a big one. Now we are secure, both inside and out.